Much everyone for being a part of this conversation. Okay, so when we talk about mental stress, there's so many misconceptions, people having so much questions in their hearts, and they're not able to voice out. And that's basically why we the amazing
Stress.
Mom
There's so many misconceptions, people having so much questions in their hearts.
Okay, so no, it's fine. And that's basically why, in the mom link, we're like, let's talk about this. Let's have this conversation. Let's, bring the expert together to talk about this because at the end of the day, for you to be able to build that thriving, sustainable business, you want to, as much as possible, figure out how you're not only managing that mental stress, but you're also reducing it so that you have an amazing time running your business without unnecessary hitch, right? So that's basically what we will be talking about. My name, as always, is TC. I'm a launch and sales funnel strategist. And if there's anything you don't know about me, is the fact that I am very particular about loving up on my kids because they are the reasons why I do what I do, which is basically use systems, funnels, and automation to create the amazing lifestyle that women entrepreneurs deserve and desire. Like I said earlier, I have experts, right? So they're not just experts in terms of being in that wellness industry, but they are experts as regards to their own personal experiences. I have, Lynnis, Mary Kim, I have, the SESCO chair with me. So I am going to be passing the mic to Miss Lynnis. Please let us know more about who you are, and we just pass it on and start a conversation. Over to you, Miss
Okay,
Lynnis.
fantastic. Thanks so much, TC, for this opportunity to talk about something that I'm really passionate about. My name is Lynnis Woods-Mullins, and I'm a holistic living and wellness expert for women over 40. I help women to vibe, basically, to be more vibrant, more intuitive, more beautiful. That's the inner beauty radiating out, and empowered to live a really active midlife. And one of the reasons why I am so passionate about this is that many years ago, I suffered from an anxiety disorder. And over the last 16 years, I've been working with women when it comes to managing their stress, their anxiety, and also improving their gut health, which has a direct correlation to how we encode the world in terms of our feelings, our emotions, how we process information, brain fog, all those kinds of things. It's like the guts of the second brain. So I'm very passionate about this topic and look forward to having a great discussion.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm just going to hold you there because we're actually streaming this also on Instagram, right? So we are currently on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Like you're literally across all channels, right? And so if you're watching, just send us a chat, send us a message in the comments to say, hey, I'm here. And we want to, as much as possible, get your thoughts, your opinion on this particular topic. So while we get ourselves all in the loop of in other channels, Mary Kim, please let us know more about you. Over to you, please.
Yes, I would love to. I'm super excited about this conversation, especially in today's day and age. Like managing all the things in business and in life, and that stress management is so crucial for our well being and our business and in our life. So, thank you, TC, for hosting this. I'm super excited to share this platform with Heather and Lynnis as well. So, definitely tap in with me. I am many things. I'm all about empowering women. I believe that nourishing women through self empowerment to water the next generation. With that, I believe the moment we raise our women's self worth, self respect, we set the standards for our entire community, our children, and our co partners in life. And so everything I do leads into empowering women and our youth. I am one of the Mom Link leaders, overseeing public relations and events. I'm also the co-founder of a one-of-a-kind pacifier cover called the Keepsy, the only one that covers the infamous webinar plus 20 traditional 20 additional pacifiers. We ship globally. I'm also a publisher for an online platform and many other things. So definitely check out my bio on Instagram and everywhere else. I am Mary Kim Farkas everywhere, and I can't wait to meet you.
Okay, so I think that the background noise, right, on Instagram is pretty horrible. But you know what? We're going to have to fix it, okay? But while we fix it, or while I fix it, right, Heather, please go on. Let us know who you are, and then we can just jump into your topic while I fix it.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sex Coach Heather, and I am a Christian sex coach for married couples. And why I wanted to jump in on this conversation today is with managing stress is because so many of us don't realize that if we just took the time to tap into our own skin through self pleasure and through really connected partnered sex, we could manage a lot of the stress that we have. So that's why I'm a part of this conversation today. I'm really, really excited about it and can't wait to get back into it. Back over to you, TC.
Okay, so I hope I've been able to figure this out. But hey, you want to tap in the best space that you feel comfortable and confident enough to hear, right? The conversation. But like you see, like I was saying earlier, um, okay, no, this is not working. Okay, you know what? Drop one if you have the feedback on Instagram better. Is it better? It's the same. All right. Okay. So, just to give us a better experience, I guess we would just have to opt out of Instagram. Hopefully that works.
You want us to opt out of Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'm really sorry, guys. I just wanted as much as possible, everyone to be part of this conversation, but apparently the experience isn't working. So we're just going to do YouTube, Instagram, in YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and as much as possible Twitter, right? So earlier I talked about leveraging, our experts' opinion, their experiences. Starting off my business as an individual, right? I actually started off, loving up on my business. However, life happened to me, and I had to start off with, thinking about how to give birth and blah blah blah, and all of those brought its own type of stress. Now I used to think that stress only was all about, you go to work, you're stressed out, you have to do this and do that. But then it only dawned on me at that particular time that there was something called mental stress, and that for me was even more deadly, right? Because I didn't accept that I was depressed. I didn't accept that I was stressed out. I just thought it was, I just needed to maybe sleep it off and all of that. But that was literally the beginning of me knowing that there's something called mental stress, right? And so I wanted to find out, right? When it comes down to, mental stress, what would you feel is like the tiniest trigger you feel entrepreneurs to look out for when it comes down to mental stress? We can just go on with the conversation. Lynnis, over to you, please.
I think one of the things that is a telltale sign is your lack of ability to focus. You're still doing a lot of different things, but nothing seems to get quite finished. You're multitasking. If you're a multitasker, it just goes into triple multitask. And you begin to, and you take a look at your to-do list, and you might have the things written down there. And it felt like things were getting done, but at the end of the day, you realize that you're not getting it done. And a lot of that could be due to stress because you're just not able to think as clearly as you would like to think. And another thing that happens too when you've just totally stressed out is your overall emotions. You don't have the same patience. You're shorter with your family, maybe your business colleagues, God forbid, your clients, but you're not feeling like yourself. You know that something is off. Those are the two things in particular. The third thing I would say is sleeplessness. You're just not getting a good night's sleep, which of course exacerbates all the other kinds of things that can happen as a result of being under stress. I mean, being under stress and not addressing it for a prolonged period of time can lead to some really, poor health conditions. It can lead to chronic disease. It can lead to high blood pressure, diabetes, believe it or not, all kinds of things. So, but it's over time. And so a lot of times when people are under a lot of stress, they might have one or two symptoms, but they're not really paying attention. But it's important as women, especially women entrepreneurs, and in particular midlife women, you have to listen to the bodies, to what your body is signaling to you. It doesn't lie. It will tell you when something is wrong, but it's up to us to make the choice. So hopefully as a result of this conversation, people will begin to start checking in more with themselves. And if you're getting that ache or pain, that belly ache in particular, lack of focus, can't make decisions, you're in a bad mood, you're not sleeping well, you want to take a look at that and see what's causing it. But I bet you one of the underlying issues will be stress.
I still am smiling to myself because I wouldn't still agree that mental stress is real. Even in as much as I feel like, it has hit me a couple of times, sometimes at the back of my mind, I want to tell myself, no, it's not real. But it's real. And I feel like that's what, so many entrepreneurs, we keep lying to ourselves to tell ourselves we can sleep it off, right? We can go to the spa. We can, when we go to the spa, like the spa doesn't do anything. I know that Heather has a different opinion, right? Especially when it comes down to stress, especially when it comes down to mental stress, because I know that with how you're able to support entrepreneurs, their sex life, their relationships. Do you feel like that is that can be a part of mental stress? Do you think that that can be maybe one of the triggers? Maybe they start having issues with maybe their relationships or their sex life. I know I used to have issues when I started getting stressed.
I mean, when you're stressed, obviously you take it out on your partner because they're closest to you. It's really sad. I did that a lot. I can still do it a lot. And I think that a lot of times when you don't know that you're stressed and you don't know that it's something that you need to take full responsibility for, it's very easy to look outward and start to point fingers and blame somebody else as to why you feel extra pressure, extra stress, all the things. So for me, it's learning how to take full responsibility. And if that means that I need to take myself off of social media for a little bit, since that's where I tend to live in my business, and take that break to just quiet my mind, that's what I'm going to do. I need to take responsibility to figure out, why am I feeling like this right this second? Why did that other person's post trigger me to think they were talking about me? Why am I comparing myself to another entrepreneur that's been doing this for a way shorter time than I am, but it seems like they're having more success than I am at this point? So to quiet the voice and to really understand where a lot of these triggers are coming from and why they're causing us stress, why they're reminding us of rejection or abandonment or some of our other really deep core issues that we just haven't healed from. That right there is what causes the triggers, which then creates the emotional mental response, and then that shows up in our body, like Lynnis was talking about. Now, for the work that I do, being a sex coach, what I love to do is, once I have figured out where the trigger's coming from, where it's showing up in my body, so that takes shutting off all the social media and even letting my husband and family know that I just need, like, I don't know, 30 minutes or an hour to just quiet myself and to figure out where some of this stress is coming from, because maybe now I'm taking it out on them. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm so sorry. Like, I just, spitted something out and I don't even know, I'm not even mad at you. Like, where is this coming from? So I will take that time. And then once I'm super, super quiet and I figured out where it's coming from, then I will use pleasure whether that's self pleasure, or then I'll invite my husband in once I have figured out what's happening. And I will use pleasure as a tool or an aid to heal from some of these things that are causing the stress. Because I've noticed that when I have to be careful with my words because we're on different platforms, but when we have multiple climaxes in a week, I can't say the O word, you guys. So when I have, and when we as ladies especially have multiple climaxes in a week, it balances out the sexual chakra, which is part of the all the chakras that are in our body. We can have the mind, we can have the heart chakra, we can have everything else lined up. But if the sexual center is off balance, it's going to throw our entire body off. So you're going to find it hits your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical, everything. So it's very important. God gave this to us as a tool to tap into as a way to balance everything out. So if you're not tapping into that, yeah, like you're going to carry more stress, you're going to carry like past trauma, generational curses, like all of these things that you hear so many entrepreneurs talk about. So please use self pleasure, please use climaxing as a tool to balance yourself so that you don't have the after effects of the stress.
I'm blushing. Okay, I'm blushing because Mary Kim is like,
She's absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, because we know if you have the big orange, right, and that those things, it does relieve a lot of stress. But everything you ladies touch on, Lynnis, all those things are signs. And TC, we do as women, right, being leaders in our community and our families, we kind of like take those minds that we those gut feelings, right? Or like we like, oh, it's just in my head. It's really nothing's really going on. I'm just overthinking something. We do that to ourselves. But at the end of the day, it really is our self-responsibility to really tap into who we are. That is knowing what your triggers are, knowing where you are emotionally, where you are stress level, what's on your plate, what's not on your plate. Is there something going around in your family that's affecting you? Did someone say something to you that's affecting you? And the number one thing that I've learned to do is your feelings. Are you processing your feelings when they're happening and acknowledging them, or you continue to push them down? That will affect you also in your health. And are you processing trauma and grief and all those things that we have to endure daily? It doesn't have to be something major. It can be easily as you wanted to go on that vacation and you got COVID, right? So you have to cancel your plans. Like, that's traumatic sometimes, especially when you haven't had vacation, right? So any little thing, but know who you are. And as women, we are the leaders, right? In whatever capacity it is. And our kids, the people around us, we know, even on social media, who don't respond, who don't like your stuff, they are watching every move, right? And we get caught up in this comparison world that, Heather mentioned. At the end of the day, it's our responsibility to own who we are, right? And acknowledge our feelings, acknowledge where we're at. And it's okay to have these thoughts. It's okay that you're stressed in life and in business. We are human beings, right? And there's this thing I recently saw. I'm going to post it, but they were having a one-on-one conversation with these guys off the street, and they were talking about the things that women go through birth, and no one understood what happened. And it just makes me realize we endure as women. If we've birthed a child or not, our bodies can birth human beings, that we take on so much responsibility, and we can do so many things, right, without even thinking about it. But something along with being business owners, caretakers, head of households, we forget how precious we are and how valuable we are. So having that self-responsibility and just owning it, it's okay. You're okay. You're not alone. So I'm loving this conversation.
so I'm curious, right, Mary Kim? As a Down syndrome mom, would you say, like, because I think I have about three clients, that, every time they're like, TC, because I have a child with Down syndrome, because I have a child with Down syndrome, I'm like, that's not an issue, right? You just need to figure out how to balance it, because to me, I feel like this is a blessing, right? Now, how you use your blessing is basically what makes you unique.
Yes.
Okay, you want to be able to figure out how you're able to balance. Run, you can't say because you have a child with Down syndrome, and so you feel having a business is not for you, right? And so you want to just get stuck up with, no, right? There is always a balance. I know that it comes with so much extra work and all of that. So how has managing mental stress, running all of these super amazing multi-million dollar businesses, and also having an amazing son, how have you been able to manage your mental stress?
Um, Thank you. I love that. And being, in the Down syndrome community, we have very, less complex situations with their health and more complex. So it definitely changes. But for me, what helped me is really, I believe in faith in God. God knew I needed to know that my child was going to have Down syndrome before he was born. And there's a whole backstory to my history with that. That's another topic we can talk about another day. But I spent 6 weeks being full blown pregnant, happy go lucky, like happy as a clam. Nothing can change my demeanor until I got that diagnosis. And I had 6 weeks to make a decision if I wanted to keep the baby. But in that 6 weeks, and this is not an exaggeration, I mourned the baby inside of me. I had to become the mom that I needed to be for him and break down every stigma that I created myself growing up. Back in the day, I turned 50 this year, so very long time ago. But I had to break down what I assumed my child would be and lean into who he was when he was born. And I didn't know it was a boy or girl at this time. But I had to break down my own thing and lead into, and it was something that one of my friends shared with me. She's a mom of four kids. I've known her since I was 8, so a very long time. She's like, Mary, and this was even before my son Desi was born, just lean into your kid. They will tell you everything you need to know and love them. And those 2 tips have served me well. Also, like, lean into your doctors, because it's a different level of managing, because there's my son had open heart surgery at the age of 7 months old. And so there's a lot of complex, but I don't think it's less or more than someone else with typical kids, someone without a diagnosis. It's really, like you said, TC, it's how do we manage it, right? Because everyone's level of difficulty is different based on not so much what we perceive their difficulty is based on what they have or don't have, but it's really how do we manage our own life? And that goes back to self-responsibility, right? And mine is just planning out your day, lean into the community, have that support system, right? And give yourself grace, right? Because as we know, even if you don't have children, life be happening, right? And everything's gonna be great. And then, you're gonna fall off the sidewalk, right? You're gonna pick up yourself up, skin, knees, and all, that is life. And I don't, and it started at a very young age in my early 20s, which I didn't even know what affirmations was. But my motto was, my fight is my reason, not my excuse. And that was based on my childhood with a lot of adversities. I can easily have been a statistic, but I chose not to. And those are the choices we make. So even with a child with ever complex and difficulties, because even typical kids, right? Those are children who don't have a diagnosis. There's issues that come about, right? We know people in our lives who are not diagnosed and they get into trouble and this. So everyone has their level. But I've never leaned into, like, this is the reason why I can't. This is the reason why I do. So that's kind of my motto, and I just go from there. And
You know what? Not to interrupt you, but I've heard Mary Kim say, this is the reason why I have to. Like, she has to show up. She's called to show up with the life that God's given to her. And to me, that takes a great amount of strength to do that.
Thank you. And I'm a single mom too. And there's no baby daddy who split and was a jerk or whatever you want to call it, right? I went out and sought to be a mom by myself, not expecting that I would have a child with Down syndrome. But I signed up, right, for it. And so, like Heather said, I do because it's something that I've always wanted. And we get this life to live. for reasons beyond what we know today?
I think it's interesting because in our society, we have so much negativity going on. It's easy to get distracted by that instead of focusing on what's working. And I think that one of the things that can help you manage your stress is to focus on what's working, and take it a step further to focus on what's working right now in this moment in time, and to stay present. You can't predict the future and you cannot change the past, but you can certainly show up. And many times when we're multitasking, we're not present. When we're thinking about what I have to do tomorrow or the next day, we're not present. When we're enumerating the past and if I could have, would have, should have, stuff, we're not present. It's staying present that helps to drive down some of the offshoots of chronic stress. If you can stay present, then you can only be stressed out so much about what's going on. And usually what's going on in your immediate present isn't necessarily the stressor. The stressor usually has to do with an accumulation of occurrences that have happened yesterday, or that you're thinking about in the future, or way in the past. But it's not necessarily like right now when you're in it. Usually when you're in it, you're doing what you need to do, and then later on you're like, oh, this is stressful. But if you can stay present and focus on what's working, instead of, yeah, I'm on this podcast, but I'm in that window and I'm in that window and all that kind of stuff. Because what happens a lot of times, you can miss a lot of what I call those God winks when you're not present. Mm-hmm. There are so many things to be grateful for and thankful for. And there's so many ways that God shows up in your life. They're little minuscule miracles that you don't notice because you're so busy thinking about all the other stuff. But staying present has really helped me a lot, especially when it comes to anxiety and stress, because there's no room to worry in the present. If you're worrying about something, you're not present. If you're worrying about something that's happening in the future, probably, or maybe in the past. And a lot of that has to do with control issues, the need to control the outcome. And as an entrepreneur, you really have to learn to let go of the outcome. Mm-hmm. You plant your seeds, you do your work, you take care of that client, you do whatever's necessary, and you move on to the next thing. And it's amazing how those outcomes become more positive when you let go of that piece. They say that God always laughs when he sees us trying to help him out. He doesn't need our help. He needs us to do whatever it is that he's told us to do, and then move on, and let him do the rest. So that's another thing that I do.
He would say, you're doing my work, so why do I need to help you?
Right. Why need to help you out?
Right.
Yeah, many times I know in my life, I'll say, okay, Lynnis, so you want to go down that road? That's not what I have for you. I'm going to go over here. Call me when you hit that, that brick wall, because that ain't the way. But many times, we're willful and we're like, I know I can do this. This is what I'm supposed to do. But when you really take a look back, in terms of how you got to that point, it probably wasn't really what you were supposed to do anyway. You heard another voice. And it's hard to hear that voice when you're stressed out. But if you allow yourself to be present, like for instance, through meditation, just getting quiet. So many times, and in particular, entrepreneurs are afraid to be quiet because they got so many things to do, but also the quietness will bring all those other voices. But that's when you learn to develop that discipline to allow those voices to go on by.
I love that. I was thinking when you were talking, Lynnis, that one of the biggest ways that God has grown me as a person is because of the times that I chose not to listen to him. So,
that part.
Yeah, like you will learn faster if you are taking the time to be in tune with God or your creator, whoever, right? The universe. So you will get there faster. Okay. But what I've noticed, and this might sound a little off to some faith people that are listening, but when I have chosen to not listen and be very rebellious and to do my own thing because I think I know better and my way is awesome, so I'm going to just go do it. Let me tell you something. When I learn that lesson, it integrates into my soul on such a deeper level because now I have a shit show story around it. Okay. So the times where I listen intuitively and I hear God's voice and I'm like, okay, yes. And I go, a lot of times it won't stick in. Like I get rewarded in all of that and it's amazing, but I still can end up messing up in the future around that same thing unless I have like a real deep integrated story around it. So for me, It's not that I go out and I choose to rebel every day. I mean, sometimes maybe, but not all the time. Because I do, you guys. I have some rebellion in me, which we all do, and I probably do tap in a little bit more than than I should. But I do learn so much, and I become a better version. And I feel like we all become a better version of ourselves when we learn something and then we're integrating, and now we can turn around and teach that to people. Like, oh man, this is what I learned because I didn't listen to like whatever the intuitive hit was. So here's what happened because I didn't listen, because I went my own way. And so now, if you're struggling with the same thing, this might happen to you. So if you don't want that to happen to you, learn from my mistake and don't do that. And that's, I feel each and every one of us has an amazing business out here that we're showcasing. And a lot of what we teach and the clients that we're helping are us from our younger years. But we wouldn't be able to help those people had we not gone off
No,
and
that is so right. I mean, I've been doing this for 16 years, and I always say that my number one client is myself. My first 5 years of business was such a true blessing because I was doing a podcast, and back then, the guests would always send you your books and send the books. Now they will send you a PDF, but back in the day, they would send you a book. I still ask for books. I love books, and there was so much richness in that. But along the way, as I began to learn more about my condition with anxiety and ways to heal it, I started, of course, imparting that into my programs. I don't teach anything that I haven't been through myself. In fact, just recently, I went through my first experience of weight gain. When I turned 63, I woke up and I was like, what the heck is that extra stuff on the trunk?
Looking, right?
Last night. So now that I had that experience, and 3 years later, almost 66, I've got control of that. But it's amazing how, as coaches, one of the things that qualifies us to do what we're doing, if we're operating within our passion, is that we've been through that. Almost all coaches do what they do because they've been through it. They know what it's like. And then they get the other learning as well. But I wanted to say one more thing about stresses. We talked about, sometimes there's Band-Aids and things that we can put to keep from feeling the onslaught of stress, but you really want to eventually get to causation. Because if you don't, those Band-Aids, you rip off a Band-Aid, a lot of times that wound that you're protecting has become infected. It's all yucky and green and whatever. Same thing with our emotions. We can take pills. We can do all kinds of things to put a Band-Aid on it so that we're not feeling as stressed. But the reality is you got to get to the causation of whatever it is and begin to root it out. And that does take work, whether you go through a therapist or a psychologist or your pastor or a coach or your best friend, whatever. You got to talk about it and peel back the layers to figure out what's going on. And I feel like our society has two kinds of people, basically. The walking wounded and those who are wounded, but they're working on healing. The walking wounded has decided, that's just the way it is. I'm not going to change it. It's too much work. It's too painful, whatever. You either like it or lump it. This is me. The walking wounded that wants to heal is doing that hard work. But it's so worth it when you do. It's so worth it. I know that I did the hard work, and that doesn't make me perfect. I still have issues, but at least now I have a toolkit that I can go to, books that I can read. And when you get that knowledge, go ahead and take a chance and act on that knowledge. Knowledge is power, but acting on that knowledge, that's what's powerful. Getting the motivation to actually do the thing you just learned about that you think is going to give you relief or help you to get to the next level. And many times that's where the coaches come in to kind of give you the motivation and inspiration to help you really do that thing you should do, but you're just not doing.
I love that. I love that. So, Mary Kim, before I get to you, right? So while you were speaking, Miss Lynnis, I was just thinking to myself, so this is just a personal thought, right? Would you say that women entrepreneurs over 40 are much more prone to, having or being in that state of mental stress?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we are the sum total of all of our experiences. So by the time you get 40 and beyond that, you got a whole lot of stuff that's going on there. And sometimes we deal with it, but a lot of times we don't because we're too busy being of service. You know, I raised 4 daughters. They're all in their 30s now. But when I was in my 40s and my 50s, I was in the top of my game in corporate America, traveling all over the country, making great money, the American dream or American nightmare, depending on how you look at it. But I hit the wall at 51. I had an event where I had to stop. And that was because I wasn't dealing with all that other stuff that came up to lead me to that point. And I think a lot of women over 40, they make that decision that they want to do something else. Something's missing. They need a change. You know, midlife is all about change and transition. That's all it's about. But it's just like, you know, how you lose that extra weight, some people do, for their reunion or their prom or whatever. Well, as you get into 40, you got to kind of prepare yourself mentally to do the work that's necessary so that you can have a thriving midlife. Otherwise, you're trying to thrive and you got this huge, big old suitcase you're dragging behind you on both arms like this, because that's all your crap that you haven't really processed or gone through. You haven't unpacked it. So I think part of anybody's wellness plan when it comes to being an entrepreneur, especially because entrepreneurs are classic for this, not taking care of themselves. You gotta unpack those bags. You gotta take the stuff out. I bet you some of them clothes are mildewed or they're too small or you don't like them anyway. Get rid of it so that you can be more clear to receive all the wonderful things that are in store for you. I know I am happier now at 65, soon to be 66 in less than 30 days.
Happy early birthday. Amazing.
I'm happier now than I was when I was 46. And that's because I got rid of those baggages over time.
I love that. I love that. You
Talking
know,
about like decluttering. So, I mean, decluttering, that does help you to manage stress, and you can declutter from relationships that aren't meant for you, that don't serve you anymore. I mean, there's some people that are married that, I mean, I'm a Christian and I'm like, you might want to get a divorce, you know? So, I mean, you have to sometimes look at your relationships, look at your clothes in your closet. Like Lynnis said, if it doesn't serve you anymore, who's that lady, Lynnis? We talked about it on a podcast with Marie something. She talks about getting
Marie Folio.
Mhm. She's
we can talk about that.
She's like, hold the piece of clothing up to you, and if you don't love it, like if you don't feel a feeling of love, then she's like, get rid of it.
If you don't love it, leave it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's right.
So you have to do that with
like
clothing and even like food. Like sometimes there's food in our pantry and it sits there forever because maybe it was from an old meal plan that we were on, and now that meal plan doesn't serve us anymore either. So why are we keeping that in there thinking, I don't want to waste money, I hate throwing away money, but looking at it is reminding you of a person that you're not even that person anymore. So I mean, you need to like walk around and declutter like blankets. We as a family, we declutter at least every 6 months because I've learned, and this is my personality type, okay? I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years. My personality type, I'm sitting right here in the office, okay? If I look around and I see piles of stuff, like piles of paper, folders I haven't organized, I mean, even like my husband sleeps in this separate room, which everybody knows, so it's not like a big secret. We sleep in different bedrooms. But like, did you guys see? He didn't make his bed how I told him to make his bed before we went live. So I went over there and made the bed because look at what I'm looking at. So I have to have like everything just right so that I can keep myself at peace. And if at any point in my day, there's something like what we've been talking about that comes up, I look in my space first to make sure, am I looking at anything that's drawing my attention that I need to clean that up first before I can work my business? So that's a huge way that I've learned to manage my own personal stress.
so I have a question, Heather, to you, right? Okay, so I don't want to smile too much because I know that we are speaking like across channels, right? So, do you feel like people or women that have sex regularly are, or no, women that do not have sex regularly, right, are much more prone to mental stress than women that have stress regularly?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Oh,
science. Like if you just go onto Google and you type on Google, if I had sex more often, would I be less stressed? It would say yes. So, and then like I work with a lot of people that are single and they're like, well, I don't have a partner, so I can't have sex and I don't want to be going onto the apps and and hitting people up for one night stands. I'm 50 years old. I'm too old for that. Like, I need to have like a sustainable relationship, someone who gets me, loves me for me. Like, that's what my goal is in the long run. Well, if you don't have a partner right now, you can take care of yourself. That's why I am such a huge, how do you say that word? Proponent? I don't know the right word, but
Advocate.
I'm a huge advocate for self-pleasure, because I understand there's so many things that can get in the way of partnered sex. You could be married like I am. We were sexless for 12 years. Well, do you think that if I'm not getting together with my own husband, that I'm going to allow somebody else to control my pleasure so that I don't have all the health benefits that come with having the climaxes? So whether you're partnered or not, just don't let you get in the way of you like having the pleasure, that you can tap into and use it to balance out the stress. It's going to make your day like so much better.
And real talk. I mean, this is not just, freaky deaky. This is real talk. Self-pleasure is a form of balancing your hormones, and our hormones are all over the place, basically for the rest of our lives after 40. Even if you're through with menopause, there's still stuff that's going on. And this is one way to manage your hormones in such a way where you're not suffering from not managing your hormones. There's so many women who are walking around here suffering because they don't have partners, they're not in relationships, and their estrogen is like gone and their testosterone is way up to here. And of course, I'm not anti-HRT or anything. I'm not getting to that piece. That it has its place. But there are some things you can do holistically to help to balance your hormones so that you're not out of control. And self-pleasure is one of the things that's really important, especially for women over 50, over 60.
Yeah, and I would actually say too in your 30s, because when I hit my 30s, you guys, that is when I started to have insomnia. And had I known what I know now about self-pleasure back then, I would have tapped in a lot sooner, because back then I felt way too guilty growing up in the Christian church to even like get near my boob, So now I've learned a lot, and I understand that the Bible doesn't teach anything against it, even though some of the pastors will say some of the verses mean that, but it doesn't. Look it up for yourself, the original meaning. Okay, please. So tap in, like literally tap.
I'd like to, not only what you ladies shared about the self-pleasure, but even if you have a partner, not have a partner, it's important for how your body functions and what it needs. So if you don't have a partner, right, you understand what gives yourself pleasure, so you can help your partner that's coming, or your current partner, what works for you, right? And as we age from 30 to 50, that's going to change what pleasure points are yours, because it will evolve. So having self-pleasure, yes, sometimes it's a lot of stigma around that still in 2023, but it's so important to know what that is, what that looks like for you. And it's okay, right? It does relieve a lot of stress. Test it out when you're overstressed. Self-pleasure yourself and tell me how you feel after. You feel like a totally different person, and all that weight is gone.
Yes.
But I want to also tap
regular weight too, Mary Kim.
Yes, regular weight. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to it.
I was gonna say, Mary Kim also sells toys, if you know what I mean. So if you don't have a partner, get you a toy if you're wanting something in there. Okay.
Yes, I do. I sell all the lotions and all that other fun stuff too. The one-stop shop, and PG rated as well. But Lynnis, I love that you shared. I was 30 years old, mid-30s, when I literally came home one night of finding love in all the wrong places, and I literally got on the floor in the fetal position and cried all night. And that's where, we talked about what we do today is based on our history, and that is true. And I was not walking around. I did not know. I was walking around from early 20s to that point on that I was walking around with my dukes up. And I say that because I met one of my really close friends in the mid 20s, and as soon as we got to know each other, she's like, Mary, why do you always walk around like your dukes up? I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not me, right? But it was me, because I was functioning, thinking I was successful in business. I was making 6 figures. I was traveling the world, taking my siblings everywhere, doing all those things, being really successful, right? But I did not know I was functioning in a space of not being true to who I was.
Right.
It was a cover up, right?
Right.
And I thought I was doing fine because I'm successful in business, which makes me successful in life, doing all these things. And there was so much that I unpacked when I came to a point where I lost who I was. I wasn't dreaming anymore, like having those big dreams like I had in middle school where no one could tell me that I could not do that. So I love that you shared, because there's so many of us, not only what you shared, Lynnis, but some of us are functioning, in great things, right? Not knowing that we're still holding back. And once I learned more about myself, I'm able to be totally successful in business and in life and take that ownership. And I love one other thing, Lynnis, that you shared. I use the Band-Aid analogy all the time. And mine is, we put on that Band-Aid to cover up the wounds. And, in real life, when you do that and you keep it covered, doesn't matter how long it's on there. Whenever you peel it off, it's soggy and it's still there. And it only heals when you take that Band-Aid off and allow it to breathe, right? And so we're going through this journey. You have to take the Band-Aid off, look at it, heal it, work on it, and it takes a couple years. But I agree, Lynnis, it's totally worth it. Like,
and you know what, Mary Kim? If you don't take the Band-Aid off, it's going to roll off anyway, and you're going to have to put another Band-Aid on.
It does come off. Yeah, it does.
Very true.
Yeah.
I mean, like, fresh one. So, like that to me is like God's way of saying, look, man, like if you're going to take the easy way out and not deal with your own healing, the thing's going to roll off. You're going to end up having to ignore what the work that you need to do, put another Band-Aid on, or an opportunity that God gives us every single day is, are you going to, instead of putting a new one on, go and do the hard healing work and allow the actual wound to heal?
Exactly.
Take the bandage off. Okay, so I'm loving this conversation, and I can literally just be in your presence. Like, you're all amazing. I told you, like, the wealth of knowledge just here is amazing. So I'm just 32, and I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, like I have so much to learn, and that's why I love to have conversations like this, because I feel like it's very important, not only to me as an individual. Yeah, I sound selfish, but that's the truth, right? It's important to me to get to hear all of these life experiences, not only the fact that you work with like these women, you connect with these women, but personally, right? Life experiences. These are basically what you're talking about. And I really do appreciate your time and for doing this with me and for sharing all of this, because trust me, if you're watching this replay and you've not taken out so many things, I literally have like 7 strategies already written down in my notebook.
Oh, good.
So you want as much as possible tap into this. I learned a lot from all of you, right? Mary Kim, Lynnis, Heather, you're all amazing. So before we round up, right? Because we definitely need to leave, right? Because trust me, we can literally keep this going. But I know and appreciate your time here. So one sentence, right? Tell us how we can connect with you. We'll go from Miss Lynnis down to Mary Kim and down to Heather. One sentence, how can we connect with you? How can we be in your spaces? Yeah, over to you, Miss Lynnis.
Well, I guess the best way initially is to contact me through Instagram, and my username is Vibe Wellness Woman, and there my link tree is in the link, and you can get to all of my stuff that I'm doing. And I did want to say that I do have a group of 20,800 women from 92 different countries who are talking about all of these various things that happen to us after 40. So if you go to my link tree, you'll see the button for the group, and I would love for you to join the group and get lots of information on different ways to be well and different ways to vibe as you journey through midlife.
Awesome. Mary Kim?
I am Mary Kim Farkas on all platforms, from all of them, all the social platforms. So definitely tap in with me. Definitely reach out to me on Instagram. I'd love to connect with anyone. I'm on Clubhouse, Clapper, all the things, and reach out to me. Let's connect. Let's grow together. Let's learn from each other. Yeah, I'd love to get to know you.
Thank you, Heather.
Yes, my name is Sex Coach Heather on all platforms as well. And then you can also reach me on my website, sexcoachheather.com, for coaching and all of my books that I've written as well.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for, for everyone that watched the replay. Okay, make sure that you connect with these amazing women. They're super amazing and very good. Good, good, good. Take my word for it, and what they do, and the ability to bring women together and transform their lives in their different areas, in their businesses and industries. Thank you so much, everyone. I will be ending this live stream right now in five,
Bye,
four,
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks,
three,
TC.
two,
Thank
one.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.
That was awesome. Thanks, TC.